So do we have another bull trap in play, or do we finally have a low pivot here? Let's get into it with our SPY analysis. It is Friday, March 7th, 2025. Don't forget to like the video. Again, love you guys. Also going to be doing a giveaway next week for Active Trader, free month of that. And I also will be doing a sale on Active Trader. So if you're waiting to get in on that, now's your chance, I guess. Well, it'll be, I probably, we'll see. Maybe Monday we'll do it, or I'll announce it then, and we'll do it for like a month. So the usual 60% off first month. So if you want to try that out, stay tuned. Anyway, let's get into it here today. So markets today, we have a low in place. We had basically a repeat of last Friday. And if you can take a look here, that's probably why we didn't get that mega squeeze into the close. It's kind of looking to maybe we thinking maybe we could get to 580, but nonetheless, still a huge move off the lows, basically like 110 points, 120 points. But you can see, obviously, last Friday we had that big, just ridiculous bump at the end of the day, and we didn't get that today. I think a lot of people may be front running that, but we got pinned down to 575. You can see SPX just above 5750, QQQ above the 490 handle, so kind of right in those round numbers, round number areas. But we talked about this last week, and that ended up not being correct. I said last week there was likely a pivot here, and it was for all of one trading hour essentially, as far as the cash session is concerned. But I think we've got one here, and I know I talked to members about this. I don't know if I've said it on this channel recently, but I didn't say it on the day here. But back here I said, like, de-risk, hedge, get out, take profits, whatever. And when we had the sell Friday, I said we could go to 565 and fill out this megaphone. The reason I said that is there's a GAN level right in here, and there's some calculations I did that are right in this area, and it's a previous all-time high, and we did fill that today. So we filled that out, and I mean, technically, we didn't technically touch it. 560, 563. Okay, we touched it. Okay, like, it's not split hairs here. We also gapped below the 200 moving average. We opened below the 200 moving average for the first time since November 1st, 2023. But we did reclaim it by the end of the day. And you can see the Qs here just closed just off of it. So Q's a little bit less powerful of a move here, although they were up more than the spiders here today. But bottom line, I reclaimed that. Another level that I've watched here is, well, this trend line. But let's go to a weekly here. And everybody was so obsessed with the 200 moving average. You got to, I talk about this all the time. The second biggest thing that traders, the biggest mistake they make is they don't zoom out. They just lock into the daily time frame, and that's just their Bible. But you got to look at the weekly too. We hit a big level on the weekly. That's the 50 MA on the weekly. So that hasn't been touched since August 5th, right? So there you go. And a trend line here. We did have this fourth hit, so technically it can break. However, we made a higher high after the last hit, two of them actually. So it leads me to believe we can still hold this and get some sort of a bid here. In short, yeah, I think we have a pivot in place. Now, where are we going to go? Well, okay, first of all, let's talk the bear case. We don't have a pivot in place. You're probably looking at 475 and SPY 560. I mean, I would be, it's going to take something insane to get us there at this point. So, I mean, yeah, it could be a bull trap here at the end of the day, like they did the same thing on Friday, but I'm kind of thinking that's not going to happen now. I don't think we can't retrace Monday. I mean, this is definitely squeeze activity. It's not like really organic buying, but then again, a lot of this selling wasn't organic either. But it's good squeeze. We could fill this out here on Monday and kind of like, stop a few people out. But for all intents and purposes, I think the lows are kind of in here. Even 580 could reject and we could come down and do that. But I think for all intents and purposes, the lows are in. I have a cycle date that triggered technically Wednesday, but we give it like a 3-day window. We'll say it's today. There's also one on the NQ that hit today, and we got a reversal. So I'm going to call it that there's a pivot in place. If that's wrong, then whatever. We're not going to be right about everything, but we're pretty close here most of the time. Now, where could we go? Yeah, I think 590 is definitely reasonable. It's basically if we just take a 50% fib here. It's 589, and then your 618 is 595. By the way, another reason for support here is if we take the bull market low and go to the all-time high. You get a perfect 236 right on the money. So there was multiple levels here that hit on the money today. And I was looking for that early this week. We just didn't get there. But that's, you know, how bear markets, sometimes they just grind your ass out. And they just make you, you know, I said this in the trading room. I was like, you know, we were, you know, DCAing down here, and it was like quiet, and I was like, I could feel the despair, and I could just see on Twitter, you know, all my tweets there, everybody's like, it's just every pop gets sold, every pop. I'm like, that's when I want to buy. You know, I know it's hard, but that's what you got to do, and you got to start small when you get into this, and because you can't short into the hole. If you miss the short, you can't chase it down. I mean, yeah, it can work sometimes, but each time it works, it's gonna fail, you know, 8 times out of 10. So you just got to be patient and DCA into that, and you'll get the squeeze, which is what we're doing. Or just stay out of it until until something happens. But yeah, I think 590 is reasonable. 595 is as well. I will say one thing though, and I think there's a chance for a big right tail, a big right tail, meaning like we could go higher, like maybe 600. There's a lot of dealer interest up there on both sides, and there's not a lot of strikes in between that I'm seeing here. For next week, that could change. But the other thing is, from a more technical standpoint, if you just look at like the hourly, let me get rid of everything here. This is like, come on, go away. This is just, it's just straight line here. It's just kind of programmed. And if you'll recall, Monday I said, look at this gap up. I don't think that's great for bears. Now, yeah, of course we went lower. People trolled me about this because we went lower, but it's like, yeah, but you didn't create, like, if you know CMD from Chart Guys, Chartman Dan, you know, he would say you haven't confirmed a daily lower high yet, because you got to have at least like 2-3 days of some sort of bounce, and then that. So we haven't really built much resistance here on the way down. We've got hourly resistance, you know, maybe right in this area, 590, 595, but you never really had that lower high. So you just went from kind of like short-term oversold to like more oversold. And we were touching it, you know, intraday today. ES was definitely there. NQ was definitely there. It's there now even. So you can never kind of reset those technicals. By the way, the McClellan, you guys asked me about this too. You know, little bull divergence there. It's not big, but take a look at the weekly. Tell me why it went up the last 2 weeks when we sold off. So this is pretty beaten down here. I think we're looking for some sort of retrace. And if I'm wrong, well, then we'll dump out and I'm wrong and I have to take a stop loss. Oh no, end of the world. Career's over. So anyway, yeah, that's what we're looking at here. Triple Qs. Yeah, there's the trend line. IWM. Again, it didn't get to 200. Again, the door is open for it, but I like that necktie with the 100 and 200. And additionally, if you take this, I told this to members yesterday, 245, right? Down to 215, we'll say. What's 30 minus 230, you know, 230 minus 30? Oh, 200, right? So measured move right there, essentially filled out. I mean, did we go down there Monday? I don't know, maybe. We'll see. Dow here getting a nice bid up 55 basis points. Didn't quite get to the 200 again. They could go down for it on Monday, but I mean, I just don't really see that much left here. SMH also is interesting to me. Down 2% to 2.4%. Let me check. Okay, it didn't make a new low. But yeah, SMH down 2.4, or excuse me, up 2.42. But look at how it only just made a new low today, and it was quite brief. So yeah, it's holding up. Broadcom, very nice move. By the way, hot take, Jensen, or sorry, Hawk is a better CEO than Jensen, I think. And I think this company is way better positioned than NVIDIA, especially moving forward. But anyway, yeah, we'll see if this can bounce here. Get a little resistance around 230, 235. And we got 240 and so on and so forth. IGV, again, holding lows. Deep slice of that 200. But, you know, it reclaimed it by the end of the day. Dow Transports, look at this. Risk off, apparently, but the transports didn't get the memo. Didn't even take out Tuesday's low. So good move there for DJT. By the way, Costco had earnings yesterday. They got hit, but still has room for a higher low. This stock just does not quit, does it? All right. So right now, volatility here. By the way, purple tie. The VIX must die, I guess. That's the motto. Down 6% here. We didn't get up to 29 or 30. We'll see how this goes next week, but I still think that's kind of max move for now. And the longer this takes to spike, the harder it's going to be. So we're starting to get that backwardation kind of coming down. We might get a little bit of a theta and Vanna pump too, or fade on this, but we'll see what happens there. Interest rates today. Let's get over there. You know, positive. So jobs data this morning, obviously it missed. I thought it was going to be much worse than it was. Only missed by like 7 or 8,000. But you can see here, yields were down initially and then they came back. There's the 2-year. Look at that. It was down initially, higher low, and then took off. And then the 5s, 10s, and 30s, the same thing. And yeah, so that looks like it was a good call on that yield play so far. So yields are rallying despite kind of weaker than expected economic data. That tells us that it's probably priced in, at least for now. XHP up 40 cents. I would have liked it if it reclaimed 102.50, but it did hit our you know, our weekly support, and this was up 3 out of the last 3 days, whereas the spiders got pounded. So go figure. XHB is back up. BNQ here up 55 cents. This has room for a higher low. I'd love to see this break out. I don't own it, but I'm just kind of rooting for it. XLF, again, big slice here, right back up. And if we look at dollar yen, which is affecting those banks, finished flat. It hit a 6182. So I like this here. I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. You know, we'll just see if it can get back to 152. So now it's more beaten down than it was last Friday. Same thing with the spiders. So it's, you know, it's right there. It's ready. And again, like I said, like bears, you know, I would think you'd want, don't you want a lower high to short? I would. That's kind of how I would look at it. But anyway, KRE down 7 cents again, another tail candle there, and KBE managing to scratch out again, so that held up a little bit better. Broker dealers down a little bit, but came back. JPM held 240, a little overdone. Just keep an eye on this one. You don't want to see this sell off too much. Same thing with Goldman and Morgan Stanley. Oil here finally got a bounce. We did take some gains in the trading room on this, so that was a nice little trade for us. And yeah, I mean, the weekly not adjusted here kind of went down straight to this big level, and I mean, we're straight into it. We'll see if that can continue up next week. This is, I didn't even, there's so many damn headlines that I'm sorry for not mentioning this earlier, but yeah, Putin said that he's open to peace talks, essentially, and you got this big pop here quickly earlier, and then I tweeted about it. I was like, who the hell is shorting this pop right now? Because I could see you know, I could see shorting the pop if it was up here, but dude, like, where are we here? But yeah, oil finishing green despite, again, peace talks. Probably priced in, like I was saying last week. So, and despite weak economic data. So I think oil's got a little chance to bounce here, maybe $70. XLE up 1.7. That held up all day. Exxon was strong all day too. Love that bear trap there on Wednesday. Still have my Exxon. It's still underwater, but I still like it. At least it pays a dividend when we're in a bear phase. XOP up 1.7 and OIH up 3 1/3. So maybe a little island there on OIH there. We'll see. Uranium stocks here, CCJ flat, URNM. I still like these weekly levels though. So they held up all right. We'll see if they can get going. Nuke's got to bounce at the 200. Not a bad area there. I know you guys love your OCLO and SMR, I'm sure. So yeah, right into those levels. Natty up 2.6. Again, this can still just go higher. This is still just trending up. You do have a couple pivots though. Let me see the, we got J. Yeah. So I would say you got 3 pivots here, so careful. So this might be getting top heavy here. But it's still trending up. Dollar held on. So that's really all it comes down to. So the 60 did close above the 200, but not really closing above yesterday's high, didn't follow through. And it looks like we're going to close below that ECB reaction high. Still trending up though. But dollar index I think can try and, you know, bounce back to 105, 105.50 maybe. Gold's down 1/4%. Precious metals are quiet here. They're going to be a little quiet here for the first half of the month, maybe even at the end of the month. Nothing going on there. A little bull flag there on palladium, but below the moving averages. Copper backing off. That still had a very nice bull break the other day. And then we've got Bitcoin here, which can't rally despite their strategic reserve stuff. Yeah, it's got higher lows. That's a positive versus the market, which doesn't. I'd say that's a good sign. Some of the alts were green today too, so it's not terrible. We got to break this 91,000. I think it can go back to 100 still. I think it's going to be a lower high, but I think it can happen. And I just don't think, and that kind of goes with what I was saying a minute ago about spiders. I just don't think people are prepared for it to squeeze. Usually bear market rallies, they tend to squeeze higher than you think. They can be very unforgiving too. Like this one here, you got that slight higher high. It just went up in a straight line. These happen all the time. This one here made a slight higher high. They can definitely stick you because bears will short here, they'll short here, they'll short here, and that's what gets us to those upper levels. So just be careful of that. That said, bulls are still really not out of the woods. Can we at least see a second green close in a row? Can we get back above 580? Really, we got to get back above 585 on SPY and 58.80 on ES to kind of confirm some bull control here in the short term. But you know, I'm optimistic here that we'll see some sort of a bounce at least into next week. So anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up here. Again, you guys take care. Don't forget to come find me on carnivoretrades.com. See you guys all on Monday.